Hi, I'm Paul Marcel. In this series, I've shown a number of different ways to hand cut dovetails with different techniques and for different types, that, like the signature ones or the houndstooth ones or even just the off the saw style. Now, I didn't initially plan on doing the mitered dovetails because I've actually done those in a previous series on making some small boxes for a jewelry box. Now, on that series, actually, when I went back to watch it again, it was so emphasized on using the Bridge City Toolworks Joint Maker Pro that you kind of lose track of how to do the dovetail. So I decided to go ahead and add this sort of bonus episode on doing a mitered dovetail. Now, what is a mitered dovetail? I did the mitered dovetail on the backs of this drawer. Now, normally you wouldn't do it on the back, but I'll show you here simply because I needed another corner to do this on. Now, if you look at this joint from the top, it's going to look like a regular mitered box. So you're going to think that's not going to be very strong. They must have some splines in there. But no, actually, it's a regular dovetailed box. It's because we try to modify the half pins on the top, and of course the tails, meaning the portion of it that becomes a pin socket, to accept a mitered corner instead. So actually, like in this case here, I also, on the bottom of this drawer, that's mitered there as well, as you'll see in this demonstration. I tried to show it, I wanted to do it on more of a box side, but this was the only corner I had left, so my apologies there. But you'll see how to do this type of a joint, and it's really nice if you're making, say, a jewelry box, because the mitered corners are just so much more elegant than kind of what looks like a butt joint when you do a normal dovetail, even though you're going to have the dovetails on the side. Now, of course, if you were to couple this technique with the houndstooth dovetails on a box, that could just look very, very elegant. So let's get going. Now, in doing a mitered dovetail, what we're trying to do is on the side, there would normally be, of course, the typical dovetails, but what we want to do is we want to actually cut this top portion at a diagonal. So you can see that there'd be like a mitered corner here, and then there'll be an equivalent on this other board to create what would look like a regular mitered frame on the top. But you don't want it to be a mitered corner. You want it to still be really strong by having the dovetails down below. So that's the point of a mitered dovetail joint. Now, this happens to be the back of one of my drawers for the vanity, so this portion here has already been cut more narrow because I removed the groove from the side so the panel can slide out. So you can see that by me putting the side on here, you can see that there's room left for that groove. Now, normally I nest the back into the side, so there'd still be the wood here, but I went ahead and removed that so we can just pretend that we're mating two boards of the same width. So it'll be a mitered dovetail up here and a mitered dovetail down here, just to give a chance to show you. Now, for me to do mitered dovetails, I typically start with a pins first layout. I find it to be the easiest when you're just doing everything by eye. I can do this by eye, and then when I transfer it to here, halfway through the process, I end up having all the marks that I need in order to create the miters on the tail board, as well as go back and put them on the pin board. So at this point, I would normally be transferring it over to the pin board. So I'll do that, just like you saw in the first video. Now that we've transferred this over, I know where these pin sockets need to be located. So now I can actually go back and I can miter these two outside ones. We'll go ahead and cut these. The difference is this outside tail. Let me show you where the sockets are. This is lined up like this, so if I flip it over here, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. This is one of the pin sockets that we're going to be cutting away, cutting away, cutting away. Now, this here, this is a pin socket, but it's actually going to be a mitered pin socket. And this socket down here is also going to be a mitered pin socket. We're going to leave those for the moment, and then I'll talk about how to do those cuts. But these sockets here, we clear them out just like we would for a regular pins first dovetail. So I've made all the cuts except this outside one and this outside one here. Now, if we want to do the cuts for those miters, it's a little easier to see. You could do either one first. You could either do the miters on the pin board first, or you could do the miters on the tail board first. That doesn't really matter at all. I'm going to do them on the pin board because it's going to be much more visible on the camera. Now, this is the inside of the drawer. I'm going to place this here. Now, seriously, I want to do this miter from corner to corner. So from here to where the intersection of the scribe line is on this side. Now you can see the scribe line a little bit here. Let me go ahead and copy that over. So that would be where the scribe line is had I written it on the side. Now, I'm going to be going from this corner to that scribe line. There. That will be the miter. Now, you don't actually need to mark this if you don't want to, if you're confident enough that you'll be able to hit that, because what you can do is on this side, you're going to be leaving the scribe line on this inside face. So similar to this scribe line here, pretend that you were doing the cut and you always want to see the scribe line on this side. And of course you can be a little on the outside because you could do a little bit of pairing. The other line that you have is basically this straight edge here, this corner. So in this case, leave the corner. Now I have this mark here, so let's go ahead and cut this. Since I drew a line, I'll be leaving the line. Like that. So you can see the mitered pin. So let's go ahead and mark and cut this other one too. And there's our second mitered pin. For this tailboard, what we're going to need to do is create a miter at the top here. So just eyeballing it, we can just draw, a line like here. That'll be where our miter will go. But then we also have, that's where the pin is going to go. The pin is only going to go in this socket up to that point because of its shape now. So we need to cut this socket. In a way, I need to make this cut here to create the socket, but I can't cut the whole way down because of this miter. So what I can do is I can cut down at an angle. Okay, so I'll be cutting this line on the pins at an angle so that I stop with the saw when I'm doing the cut for this tail. I'm going to stop when I hit this back. I'm not going to go clear down. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to stop when I hit this baseline. So I'm going to be cutting down like this until I stop. After I've done that, then I'm going to go ahead and cut off this corner just like I did on the other boards. So let's go ahead and do that. It'll probably be a little bit more obvious as I do the cut. So I need a little bit higher so I can get my angle. So I need to go to the inside of my line that I have over here. Let me draw a line across here like a saddle square line, just so you can see where I'm trying to go. There. So I need to leave that line, but I'm going to be doing this at a 45. Pretty much that's it. There is a scribe line here, but you'll never see it on that camera. There you go. So I'm going to leave the line on this side. So I have a little bit of work to do with some pairing if I need to. Now at this point I've been going down straight and I've hit this line. Now I'm going to start angling until I hit the bottom part there. There, now you can see what I've done to this tail. I've cut the miter on the side, so from this side, the inside, you're going to have a tail. But from the outside, it's actually going to be an elongated tail because it's making a bigger shoulder to get up to where the miter is located. So let me do the other side here. Okay, so that's the saddle line of that going across. And again, I'm going to be cutting at a diagonal until I create the mitered corner. Second tail. So now let me clean these tails out like I normally would. And there you go. That's going to be the best underside joint I ever had for where a drawer is going to be hiding in. So it's not bad. I have a little bit of a, I wavered on my saw a little bit on that little corner. There's still some clamping room here to go. I don't want to hammer it home too far since I got to take this apart and do the other side. But that is how you can do a simple eyeballed mitered dovetail. It's a pretty simple process. You don't need to do all the marking if you don't want to. I mean, you can. It makes it kind of easier when you're seeing the line if you at least have it there. But if you were trying to do something fast and had the skills, you could probably get away without it. Oh, I do want to mention one other thing. Now, I don't really need it in the case of these joints. They came out nice and clean. But say you had some problems with that being really dead straight. One of the things that you can do that can kind of help clean this up is you separate it out. Not the whole way, but a good portion. Make sure that you've got this square, maybe even clamp one of these in place, and then you're going to want to tap this side here in until you have about a kerf there. And then you're going to just want to run your saw down to clean that up. And that can get rid of a lot of the junk. If for some reason you are really crooked, if you're going to sit there and pare for a long time, this can be a lot faster if you're careful about it. Just make sure you pick the one that's nice and straight, use that as kind of a guide, and then it'll help clean and cut the other one.